I'm 82 years old, and I still remember the day I heard the news. Mr. Manuel, my neighbor for as long as I can remember, a strong and hard-working man who rarely got sick, had a stroke one morning while he was rushing to the bathroom. His children said that as soon as he got out of bed, he felt dizzy, took a few steps, and fell. What impacted me most was hearing the neurologist who treated him say that this kind of event is becoming more and more common, and that in many cases it could be avoided if we would just change one small habit when we wake up. What you do in the first minutes of the morning can define your risk of having a stroke. That sentence stayed with me, and it is the reason why I'm here in front of you today. This is not about frightening you, but about giving you information that can literally save your life or the life of someone you love. Neurologists have been warning for years that there is a critical moment for the brain right after waking up. The body goes from a state of deep rest to a sudden increase in blood pressure and heart rate. If we add certain habits that seem harmless to this, the risk shoots up. The problem is that almost nobody knows this, and that is why we keep making the same mistakes over and over again. In this video, we are going to talk about that dangerous habit that many of us do without thinking, and that can be the trigger for a stroke. I will explain in simple terms why it increases the risk, what happens in your body in those first minutes, and most importantly, how to replace it with a safe habit that protects your brain and your heart. Stay until the end, because I will also share warning signs to detect a stroke in time, morning routines that strengthen the circulatory system, and practical tips from neurologists to drastically reduce your risk. Before we begin, I would love to know you. How old are you, and from which country are you watching me? Leave it in the comments. Knowing who is listening to this message is the best motivation to keep creating content that can help you live longer and better. What a stroke is and why it is so frequent in old age. Before talking about the dangerous habit that can increase your risk, it is important to understand what a stroke really is and why it happens so often in people over 60 years old. When we understand what is at stake, we take prevention much more seriously. A stroke, also called a cerebrovascular accident, is like a heart attack in the brain. There are two main types. The first one is an ischemic stroke, which represents the majority of cases. It happens when a blood clot or a piece of cholesterol plaque blocks an artery that carries oxygen to the brain. Imagine that the brain is a city and the arteries are highways full of cars carrying oxygen and nutrients. If one of those highways is blocked, the neighborhood it supplies is left without food or energy. In a matter of minutes, brain cells begin to die. The second type is a hemorrhagic stroke. This occurs when a blood vessel in the brain ruptures and blood begins to spill inside the skull. This type is less frequent, but it is usually more serious because the accumulated blood presses on the brain tissue and damages it. Sometimes this happens due to poorly controlled high blood pressure or because the vessels are fragile in advanced age. After 60 years of age, the risk of both types of stroke increases significantly. According to medical associations, around 1 out of every 6 older adults will have a stroke at some point in their lives. That is not a small number. In fact, it is one of the main causes of disability in the world and the second leading cause of death after heart attacks. Beyond the statistics, what is most frightening are the consequences for quality of life. A stroke can leave a person unable to move one side of the body, with difficulty speaking or understanding, with problems remembering simple things, or even problems swallowing. Many people have to learn again how to walk, get dressed, and take care of themselves, and they do not always manage to do it. For caregivers or family members, it is also an enormous challenge because life changes from one day to the next. That is why neurologists insist that prevention is the best tool we have. We cannot change our age or our genetics, but we can reduce the risk by controlling blood pressure, maintaining healthy habits, and, as we will see today, taking special care with what we do in those first minutes after waking up. Detecting a stroke in time is also crucial. Every minute counts because the brain cannot go without oxygen for long without suffering permanent damage. When you understand that a stroke is not just a brief scare, but an event that can change everything, it becomes easier to commit to making small but powerful changes in your day-to-day life. And the good thing is that most of these changes do not cost money and do not require great effort, just awareness and consistency. The most dangerous minutes of the day. There is something many people do not know. The first minutes after waking up are, for millions of older people, the time of greatest risk in the day. It is not a coincidence that most heart attacks and strokes occur in the morning, especially between 6 and 10 o'clock. Doctors have known this for decades, and that is why they insist that we should start the day calmly. During the night, our body is at rest, blood pressure and heart rate go down, and the circulatory system relaxes. At dawn, the body activates what neurologists call the cortisol awakening response. This is a natural increase in stress hormones that helps us move from sleep to wakefulness. It is as if the body presses the accelerator to get going. The heart beats a little faster, the blood vessels constrict, and blood pressure rises sharply. For a young and healthy person, this spike does not represent a major problem, but in someone with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or stiff arteries, this sudden increase can be the trigger for a cardiovascular event. Studies published in prestigious medical journals confirm that the risk of a cerebrovascular accident is significantly higher in the early hours of the morning than at any other time of the day. In fact, some neurologists call this period the critical window, because that is when most emergencies arrive at hospitals. There is another factor that adds to this: dehydration. We spend the whole night without drinking water, which makes the blood a little thicker when we wake up. This extra density can favor the formation of clots. If, on top of this already vulnerable situation, we add certain morning habits, the risk multiplies. Imagine your body as a machine that has been turned off for several hours. It is not a good idea to turn it on at full speed all at once. However, many people get up abruptly, stand in seconds, and rush to the bathroom or the kitchen. This very quick change of position causes a brief drop in blood pressure in the brain, which can cause dizziness, fainting, or even a stroke if there's already a small clot waiting for the perfect moment to block an artery. That is why what we are going to do in this video is so important. Identify which habit is so dangerous, understand how it acts in the body, and learn a safer way to start the day. If we manage to change just this one small routine, we can noticeably reduce the risk of a serious event. The most dangerous habit. Now it is time to talk about the habit that the neurologist warns is one of the most dangerous for people over 60 years old. It is something so simple that many people never question it: getting up suddenly from bed and walking quickly to the bathroom or the kitchen without giving the body time to adapt. When you wake up, your heart and blood vessels are still in rest mode. When you sit up suddenly, blood moves down toward your legs because of gravity. The brain is briefly left with less blood flow, and blood pressure drops sharply. This phenomenon is called orthostatic hypotension, and it is more common in old age because blood vessels lose elasticity and respond more slowly. If your pressure drops too much, you may feel dizzy, see blurry, or even lose consciousness. But what many people do not know is that this drop in pressure, combined with thicker morning blood, can make it easier for a clot to get stuck in an artery. If that clot blocks the passage of oxygen to the brain, an ischemic stroke occurs. Neurologists explain that even the simple effort of standing up quickly and then bending down right away to pick something up off the floor can generate microclots that move towards the brain. And if, in addition, you have high blood pressure, arrhythmia, or high cholesterol, the risk multiplies. I remember my friend Ernest, who was 78 years old. He had always been a lively man and proud of not depending on anyone. One morning, he jumped up in a hurry because the doorbell rang. After only a few steps, he felt a strong dizziness, fell to the floor, and could not speak. He was rushed to the hospital. He had suffered a stroke. Thanks to the fact that he was treated quickly, he managed to recover, but he never walked the same way again. Such a simple movement can be the trigger for a stroke. That is why it is vital to break this habit and learn to get up safely in several steps so that the body can gradually adapt to the change in position. Later in this video, I will show you an easy routine that can significantly reduce this risk. Other morning habits that increase risk. Getting up suddenly is not the only hidden danger in the morning. Many of us have routines that, without realizing it, can favor a cerebrovascular accident. Changing these small details can make a big difference. The first mistake is drinking coffee immediately without hydrating first. After 7 or 8 hours without drinking water, the body wakes up slightly dehydrated. The blood is more concentrated, and this increases the risk that tiny clots will form. If the first thing you drink is coffee, the problem gets worse because caffeine acts as a diuretic and can cause an additional loss of fluids. Neurologists recommend drinking a glass of water when you wake up, before any other beverage. It does not have to be cold. In fact, lukewarm water is gentler on the stomach and helps activate the digestive system. The second common mistake is skipping breakfast. Many people believe that nothing happens, or even that it is good for losing weight, but in older adults it can cause unstable blood sugar levels. The brain needs glucose to function, and if levels drop too low, you may feel dizzy, have blurry vision, or feel confused. These symptoms can be confused with those of a stroke and, in some cases, may help trigger one if the body is already at its limit. A light breakfast with protein, some fruit, and slow-absorbing carbohydrates helps stabilize your energy and protects your nervous system. Another critical point is taking medication. Many older people take several pills in the morning, but not all of them know in what order to take them or whether they should take them on an empty stomach. Taking blood pressure medication all at once upon waking can cause a sudden drop in pressure that, combined with standing up, can lead to fainting. The ideal is to follow your doctor's instructions strictly and, if necessary, ask about adjusting the schedule for certain drugs. Even something as simple as dividing the dose into 2 times of the day can prevent dangerous blood pressure spikes. It is also wise to avoid heavy effort immediately after getting out of bed, such as pushing furniture, bending suddenly, or lifting weight. The circulatory system needs a few minutes to stabilize. A sudden movement can make your pressure shoot up or drop sharply, creating a perfect scenario for a stroke. The good news is that all these mistakes have simple solutions. Drink water before coffee, have a light but nutritious breakfast, and review the schedule for your medication with your doctor. Use the first minutes of your day to stretch, breathe deeply, and move slowly. These small actions not only reduce the risk of a serious event, they also help you start the day with more energy and mental clarity. How to recognize the first signs of a stroke. Talking about prevention makes no sense if we do not know how to recognize when something is happening in our own body or in that of a loved one. Neurologists insist that the first minutes of a stroke are critical. If you act quickly, the chances of recovery increase enormously. That is why I want you to learn a very simple rule that can save lives, the FAST rule. The letter F corresponds to the word face. If you suspect that someone is having a stroke, ask them to smile. Watch to see if one side of their face droops or if the smile is uneven. That facial droop is one of the first warning signs. The letter A is for arms. Ask the person to raise both arms at the same time. If one of the arms slowly drops or they are unable to lift it, that is a sign that the brain is not sending proper signals to the muscles. The letter S corresponds to speech. Ask them to repeat a simple sentence, for example, "Today is a good day." If the words sound slurred, confused, or they simply cannot speak, that is a very serious sign. Lastly, the letter T is for time. Every minute counts. If you notice any of these symptoms, call emergency services immediately. Do not wait to see if it gets better on its own. The sooner they receive care, the greater the chances of avoiding severe after effects. I remember the case of Martha, a 75-year-old neighbor. Her daughter noticed that while talking on the phone, Martha sounded confused and kept repeating words. When her daughter arrived at her house, she saw that Martha could not move her right arm well. She reacted quickly, took her to the hospital, and in less than 1 hour, Martha received treatment. Today, she can walk and speak normally thanks to her family's quick reaction. Another example is Julian, who was having breakfast with his wife. Suddenly, she asked him to pass the salt, and he did not understand what she was saying. When she looked at him, she saw that one side of his face was drooping. She called emergency services without losing a second. That quick decision saved his life. Memorize these signs and teach them to your children, grandchildren, and friends. It is as simple as remembering the letters F, A, S, and T. Do not underestimate a crooked face, a weak arm, or a poorly pronounced phrase. Sometimes we think it is just tiredness or that it will pass in a few minutes, but in a stroke, every minute without care means more damage to the brain. Recognizing the signs is the first step in reducing the impact of a stroke. And now that you know what to look for, in the next part, I will tell you exactly what to do if you or someone close to you begins to show these symptoms. Having a clear plan can make the difference between a full recovery and a permanent disability. What to do in the first seconds if you suspect a stroke. Knowing what to do in the first seconds can make the difference between life and death, or between a full recovery and a permanent disability. When you notice any of the signs we mentioned in the previous part, do not wait to see if it goes away by itself. Every minute that passes without medical care means more neurons die. The first thing is to call emergency services immediately. Do not try to drive the person to the hospital yourself, and do not allow them to drive. During a stroke, motor coordination and attention are affected, and this can cause an accident. Call and clearly explain that you suspect a stroke. This will make them send priority help. While help arrives, place the person in a safe position, preferably lying on their side so that they do not choke if they vomit. Loosen their clothing so that they can breathe easily. Do not give them food, drink, or medication because they could choke or it could interfere with the treatment they will receive at the hospital. Doctors call the first hour after a stroke the golden hour. If the patient receives treatment during this period, the chances of recovery are much higher. At the hospital, the first thing they will do is a scan or an MRI to confirm whether the stroke is ischemic or hemorrhagic. If it is ischemic and detected in time, they will give a medication called a thrombolytic that dissolves the clot and restores blood flow to the brain. If the stroke is hemorrhagic, the treatment is different. It focuses on controlling pressure, stopping the bleeding, and reducing swelling. In some cases, surgery is necessary to drain accumulated blood. The sooner treatment begins, the less damage there will be. That is why I insist so much. Do not underestimate the symptoms, and do not wait for them to get better on their own. Acting quickly saves brains, saves functions, and saves lives. Safe routine for getting out of bed. Now that you understand why the first minutes of the morning are so delicate, I want to teach you a simple routine that can significantly reduce the risk of a cardiovascular event upon waking. When you open your eyes, do not sit up immediately. First, stretch gently while you are still lying down. Wiggle your toes, bend and stretch your legs to activate circulation. Then, slowly roll onto your side, using one arm to help you move into a seated position. Sit on the edge of the bed and stay there for 20 to 30 seconds. Use that time to take 3 deep breaths. Inhale through your nose while counting to 4, hold the air for a moment, and exhale slowly through your mouth. This oxygenates the brain and helps stabilize blood pressure. Before standing up, move your feet in circles and make a small pedaling motion in the air to activate blood return from the legs. Then, use the mattress or the bed rail for support and stand up slowly. If you feel dizzy, sit back down and wait a few more seconds. Ideally, you should keep a glass of water on your nightstand and drink it before you start walking. Warm water is even better, as it helps wake up the digestive system without irritating the stomach. Only then should you begin your normal morning routine. You can practice this sequence with me every morning until it becomes a habit. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes, but it can save you from a major scare. Foods and supplements. The reduced-risk nutrition is another powerful tool for keeping the brain protected. Neurologists recommend following a diet rich in healthy fats, antioxidants, and minerals that support circulation. Include fish rich in omega-3, such as salmon, sardines, or mackerel, at least twice a week. These fats help keep arteries flexible and reduce inflammation. Red fruits like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries are rich in antioxidants that protect brain cells. Leafy green vegetables such as spinach, chard, and kale are also essential because they provide folates and vitamin K, which are vital for vascular health. Reduce your intake of salt, trans fats, and refined sugars as much as possible. These 3 factors contribute to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and insulin resistance, which are some of the major triggers of strokes. Opt for healthy oils such as extra virgin olive oil and whole grains instead of white flours. When it comes to supplements, Many doctors suggest checking levels of vitamin D, magnesium, and potassium, since deficiencies can affect blood pressure control. But do not take them on your own. It is better to have a blood test and ask your doctor to indicate the right dose. I have seen many people improve their health by making these simple changes. I remember the case of my cousin Andrew, who at 70 years old suffered from high blood pressure and high cholesterol. After changing his diet, adding fish and vegetables every day, and reducing salt, he managed to stabilize his pressure and lower his cholesterol levels without having to increase his medication. Taking care of what you put on your plate is a way of protecting your brain every day. And combined with the morning routine I showed you, your risk of stroke can be reduced noticeably. Gentle exercises to protect your brain and heart. Besides getting up slowly, it is essential that your body stay active during the day. Physical activity is one of the best ways to prevent strokes and maintain brain health. You do not need intense workouts. Gentle and consistent exercise is enough. Before getting out of bed, do some joint mobility. Gently rotate your ankles in circles, bend and stretch your knees, move your hands and fingers to wake up circulation. These simple movements help blood flow better to the brain before you stand up. Once you are standing, spend a few seconds doing neck exercises. Tilt your head forward and backward slowly, then to each side. These movements release the tension that is built up during the night and improve blood flow to the head. Combine them with deep breathing, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth to oxygenate every cell in your body. During the day, take short walks. You do not have to walk many kilometers. Even periods of 5 to 10 minutes several times a day keep circulation active and reduce the risk of clot formation. If you spend a lot of time sitting, stand up every hour and walk a little. Strengthening your legs is crucial. Many falls in older people end in long hospital stays, and that forced rest increases the risk of thrombosis. Do simple exercises such as sitting down and standing up from a chair several times, or going up a few steps if your condition allows it. The stronger your legs are, the more independent you will be, and the lower the chances of suffering indirect complications that may end in a stroke. Emotional factors and morning stress. We cannot forget that the mind and body are connected. Waking up in a rush, worried, or angry immediately raises blood pressure and heart rate. That combination in the early hours of the day can be dangerous. If your first thought upon waking is a list of problems, your body responds by releasing stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. This constricts blood vessels and increases the risk of a clot forming or a fragile vessel rupturing. So, create a calmer start to your day. Take 1 minute for conscious breathing and be grateful for something simple. That you opened your eyes, that you have a roof over your head, that you are able to move. Gratitude calms the mind and stabilizes the nervous system. Another strategy is to play relaxing music in the morning. Soft sounds help lower your heart rate and set up a less abrupt start. Even a brief 3-minute guided meditation can change your mood and reduce stress. I remember Alice, a 72-year-old friend who lived in constant anxiety over the news and her debts. Her doctor suggested she start the day with 3 minutes of deep breathing before looking at her phone. In a few weeks, her blood pressure went down and her mood improved. Today, she says that practice gave her peace and made her feel less afraid of another health scare. At this point, you already know the main morning mistakes and how to correct them. But so that all this becomes action, I want to propose a small challenge. First, remember the mistakes. Getting up suddenly, not drinking water, having coffee without hydrating first, skipping breakfast, neglecting the correct way to take your medication, and starting the day with stress. Now turn this list into a new routine. Do this. Stretch in bed, sit up, and wait a few seconds before standing. Instead of this, jumping up and walking immediately. Do this. Drink a glass of warm water when you wake up. Instead of this, having coffee right away on an empty stomach. Do this. Eat a nutritious breakfast and review the schedule of your pills with your doctor. Instead of this, skipping your first meal or taking medication on your own without guidance. Do this. Breathe deeply and think of something that makes you smile. Instead of this, starting the day by checking problems on your phone or the news. I invite you to try this routine for 7 days in a row. At the end of the week, notice how you feel. Many people report less dizziness, more energy, and a more stable mood. The first minutes of the morning are an opportunity to take care of your brain and your heart. What you do in that brief period can set the course for your health for the rest of the day. Today we learned that getting up suddenly can be dangerous, that the body needs time to stabilize blood pressure, and that hydration and gentle movement are powerful allies. We also saw how diet, exercise, and controlling morning stress can significantly reduce the risk of stroke. Remember that these recommendations do not replace a visit to the doctor, but they are a complement that can help you prevent a serious event. Changing this habit can mean seeing your grandchildren grow up, continuing to share moments with your family, and enjoying many more years of life with good health. Tell me in the comments if you already knew this information and what changes you are going to make starting today. Share this video with someone you want to protect, because a simple piece of advice can save a life. And if you would like to receive more content like this, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Remember, every morning is a new opportunity to start well and take care of the most valuable thing you have, your life.